back to my channel. This is Tita Lavinia of Titas of Pageantry, and for this episode, we are now on day 9, the day of the preliminary. So this will be a review of the performances of the girls as well as her very own Rabiya Mateo. So please make sure you stick around. Please subscribe to the channel as well as hit that bell notification button for your weekly pageant fix. Okay, so now that a few hours has passed, we got to review some of the footages as well as the HD photos. So now we have a better understanding and more appreciation of the performances because admittedly, just like you, the preliminary production is just a little lackluster. It's a little difficult to really look into the details, to really go and check out the details on, you know, their movements, their turns. So now is actually a good time and to go back and, you know, refresh your memory and really see where these girls are in the list. Now, I find that this is very interesting because some of the front runners, some of those who are known to be really good speakers appear nowhere in the list, which means that for you to become a successful beauty queen, for you to be a success, especially at Miss Universe with this new format, everything really has to be physical. Everything has to have that entertainment value. So if you're really good with your comm skills, now is not the great time to, you know, pull that card up. We need the full package. We need all the physical aspects of the competition to be highlighted at the preliminary. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, who doesn't make the list? Because, yeah, I don't know what happened to this edition. Like I said, a lot of them are on equal footing, so we don't have a mega favorite this year. That's why it's a little difficult when you have to make the decision to remove them from the list and add other people to it. So I'm going to start with swimsuit. Now, what I looked for swimsuit is fitness of the actual body. I mean, I look for form. I look for those who really spend time in the gym. Definition. I also look for fluidity and pasarela. So this was just a little difficult for me. And yeah, I'm going to start with my number 1 spot. That goes to Miss Brazil. I mean, how can you not give a swimsuit slot to Miss Brazil? She worked on her body very early on, as early as last year. She was the one with the most visible body transformation. And I think she gave justice to the Brazilians who are known for their amazing physique. So number 1 is Brazil. Number 2 is Miss Colombia. Now, with Colombia, maybe some of you are still 50-50 with her beauty, but that body and that control in movements and, you know, the magic that is Colombia is undeniable. So she makes my list. Next, I have Dominican Republic. Now, they had a little bit of a lag with their interaction, Demi and Zoe. So Miss Dominican Republic stood there for quite some time before she could really execute her moves. But if she had a little bit of a wobbly start with her swimsuit presentation, that's fine, because when she turned, we saw that beautiful face, we saw that beautiful body, we saw what that Kimberly Jimenez Dominican Republic representative really looked like, and she was really stunning. Next, there was no surprise here, because if there was a segment in the competition that this girl would ace, it would definitely be swimsuit. And I'm talking about Miss Myanmar. Now, I feel like Miss Myanmar deserves this recognition because not a lot of strong sash countries makes it to this part. So for us to really recognize Miss Myanmar's, you know, success in prep work, in terms of her body, in terms of her movements, then this could be a stepping stone in something greater. I don't know if the judges can see it, but hopefully they can. Next is Panama. Now, it would not be a very credible list if we did not have Panama, at least for swim, because Panama had one of the most amazing physiques in this competition. Now, she walked effortlessly, she walked flawlessly, and I know a lot of the Latinas dominated the swimsuit. There was really no surprise there. So yeah, we really have to put Panama there. Number 6 is Miss Peru. Now, Miss Peru on this for this preliminaries. I really thought that she would be a runaway, success here. But Peru is also a little wobbly when it comes to standing, but good for her. She made my list at least for swimsuit. I thought she looked really nice. Swimsuit is something that she does really well. She was in Miss Supranational not too long ago, and she performed really well during swim in Supranational. So there was really no doubt that she would perform accordingly at Miss Universe. And then, of course, we have the beautiful Miss Philippines. I'm gonna talk about her swimsuit performance, but for this review, all I can say is that her swimsuit performance is now one of my favorites when it comes to the Miss Universe Philippines representatives. So this is as much as I can give you for now. And then number 8, we have Miss Nepal. Now, Miss Nepal slept on us for at least 2 days, but she is now back. A lot of people are recognizing her. She looks lean and tall. Some people thought that she just seemed a little too skinny for their taste. I could completely understand, but if we just look at form, if we look at fluidity, I think Nepal did her home. I have number 9, Miss Thailand. Now for me, Thailand also did a really good job for swim. She was a little more restrained. She wasn't opening her mouth like a Latina. She wasn't swaying her hips from east to west, but I think that the walk was just restrained. I didn't see any touches of Catriona anywhere, so kudos to her. At least she was able to own that walk. And it was just really fluid. This was how I envisioned Miss Thailand would perform, at least in preliminary. So good for her. Number 10, I am going to give this to Venezuela because Venezuela is Venezuela. You cannot have a swimsuit list without Venezuela. Now, on the flip side, because I added Venezuela to the list, I do apologize. I have to elbow the likes of Miss Costa Rica, who had a banging body, the likes of Miss India as well. I'm so sorry. Evening gown for me for this edition of the preliminaries was again a little lackluster. I don't know if they lost interest in being creative. A lot of these gowns are gowns that we've seen before. I mean, a lot of them were really into the mirrored embellishments, the nudes, the mesh. So yeah, this is going to be a key issue when I start reviewing Rabiya later on. So let me go ahead and start with the evening gown competition this time. Now for the evening gown competition, I'm pretty shallow. I just look at, ideally, the design of the gown, but I do know that the evening gown competition, when it is judged at Miss Universe, they don't just look at the design, they look at the presentation of the girl. So for this, I am going to include some ladies in my list whose gown I wasn't really very keen on, but who did really well in presenting. So this is going to be a mix. So for evening gown, I will start with Miss Colombia. Now for Miss Colombia, I wasn't really a fan of her gown. I don't know why she's so fond of this design. Like a column gown that's fitted close to the body with lots of ribbony things going on. This time around, it was beaded, unlike her previous gown that was more of a 3D effect. So I wasn't too keen on the gown because I felt that it looked more like a leotard or maybe something that could be used for a stage performance. But she is on my list because of that innate movement, that innate fluidity and grace and elegance whenever she would move. So she is number 1 on my list. Number 2, I'm gonna give to Iceland because a lot of ladies got a little crazy with embellishments this year. A lot of them went for just the shoulder details and more sleeves and things like that. So it was refreshing for me to see Iceland in something that was so simple, something that was so chic, something that was so modern. So for me, she looked like, I don't know, a glamorous seal. Is that even glamorous to listen to? So she was in a slinky blue dress, which I think really fit because it was a little darker, and then her eyes, which are really bright blue, really popped. And then I'm gonna put India this time. Now the reason why I didn't include India in swimwear was because I feel that her her evening gown presentation is more successful. First of all, the evening gown itself was really nice. It was gold, it was nicely embellished. But for India to be retained on this list, maybe by finals, she can find more joy. I think that the makeup also brought her down a little bit. So maybe if she would lighten up a little bit, even with her hair paired with that beautiful gown, I think she would be more successful as well. Something that pains me, but something that I have to do if I want to maintain my integrity, I will be adding Indonesia to the list. Now, I know I've made fun of her, just to piss off the Indonesian trolls, but in all honesty, I think that Miss Indonesia also did her best to ace at least evening gown. She was in green this time, and what I like about the presentation is because the Indonesians, when they styled their queen, they have a habit of, I don't know, maybe emulating some of the Western styles. So I really like that they pulled back. I like that they did her hair straight. For me, she looked really Indonesian. And when somebody asks me about Indonesian beauty, I always reference Anggun. I mean, she is who I picture as the perfect or the epitome of an Indonesian, tanned skin, really dark black hair, with slight feline features. So I really like the direction on the styling of Ayu this time, and I think it's a little original as well. My Filipino troll friends will not like this, but I like the armband detail. It set her apart from, the things that we've been accusing her of doing, which is like pulling a lot from, inspiration from Catriona. But for this one, there is still a little bit of Catriona there, but at least this is her own this time. Next on my list, I think this is my favorite in the evening gown competition. I will be adding Miss Jamaica. For me, she was really Black Barbie, and this isn't a term that I, throw casually. When I say Black Barbie, I really envision the actual Barbie doll from the 1980s that I used to play with. There's a Black Barbie that I had, beautiful face, beautiful figure, of course, and I remember putting lots of sparkly dresses in that particular Barbie because growing up, Barbie was really a thing for me, and my mother, who lives in Japan, made it her mission to really supply me with all those. So I know my Barbie, guys. And when I saw Miss Jamaica in that sparkly dress, that was Barbie personified. It was a little pink, of course, something that was just really refreshing for my eyes because a lot of ladies wore blue. A lot of ladies also wore metallic. So I got a little bored with that. I was really waiting for, I don't know, maybe an Aura Karishma moment or maybe a Samantha Bernardo moment for the evening gown. There was none. So looking at Miss Jamaica in pink, I think that really excited me a little bit. So there. Number 6, I was not a fan of the actual gown, but I just couldn't really help but recognize how striking she is. And I'm talking about Miss Nepal. She again makes it to my evening gown list because how can you not? I mean, if you love fashion, this is exactly the body type that you look for. Next, I will be including Panama. Now, I did not think I'd include Panama in my list. I thought she would just float around. But Carmen Jaramillo has been doing really well. And it was really smart for her to choose a gown that was fitted close to her body with the same treatment as that of Ariadna Gutierrez's Baraza gown, which was just really slinky, really sexy. It was covered in beadwork. But for Miss Panama, there was a play of color. It was a little silver with touches of yellow. And then, of course, I have number 9 for the Philippines. Now, I put her in my list. I'm going to make this one really short because I have a dedicated review for her. But I added Rabiya to my list simply because the color of the gown was really ballsy and punchy. A lot of the ladies got a little afraid of color this time, so it was really kudos to the team to really push Rabiya and pick the yellow gown, at least for prelims. And then I will be including Thailand. Now, I am a little 50-50 about this because I feel that a part of me responds to this gown, responds to this type of styling. There is a feel of something current in the styling, but at the same time, something common. So I'm really not so sure how I feel about this. I just added Thailand because I know that they thought about this. I know that they have a clear styling direction, and I know that this is somewhat appealing. But for Thailand, for me, what saved her is her performance, not the dress. Her performance for me was a little restrained, a little classier than usual, and that she doesn't really have to result in a lot of, I don't know, gymnastics when it comes to passerella. But for the gown itself, it was a two-piece gown. They say that it's inspired by fireworks. I saw the inspiration, but because of the production, because of the lighting, it just looked like it was slapped on her. But I mean, she looked like a trophy. She looked like the Oscars award. So yeah, push for Thailand. My only issue was that this is so current. It now looks like, you know, the regular gowns or the regular formal wear that a lot of these influencers show, at least on Instagram and maybe on Facebook. And then I also have, I don't know, it's a little difficult for me, but I think I'm gonna give my top 10 list. I was really toying with the idea of Venezuela, but I'm gonna give this one to South Africa. That was a little difficult for me because as much as I would want to add Venezuela to the group because she had the beautiful ruby colored gown, I just wasn't too keen on the design of the gown. I thought that it shortened her a little bit, but had it been just for the color, I would have added Venezuela to my top 10 list. But I gave this one to South Africa because I think her presentation was dramatic. Her gown was really pretty. She just needed, at least for me, to remove the gloves because it dated everything when she had the gloves on. So for evening gown, I wish we could have had, or I could have included Vietnam, but unfortunately, the gown itself just wasn't striking enough to propel her to my top 10 list. Laos was commendable as well. And then Romania, which is really a shame because I did not really notice Romania at all. But when I started looking at, you know, some photos coming in, I saw a photo of her beautiful Michael Cinco gown. So yeah, I could have really included her in the list. But yeah, this is just at least a footnote. So with the whole presentation, I was just really surprised that I didn't have these ladies in any of my lists. So I'm just really hoping that they make it at least for Q&A. So the ones who did not make it for me were Cambodia, unfortunately, but you know, she did really well in swimsuit. She had just a little bit of a problem when it came to evening gown. I don't know why she took more time than the usual. Maybe there was something with the gown. I also would have wanted to add Australia to the list, but I just don't know. Maybe she lost a little bit of spark. Canada, I'm a little surprised at myself. I couldn't find her in any of my lists. She had a really nice swimsuit presentation and her gown was really, really pretty. It's just that, yeah, I just really couldn't fit her. I also mentioned Romania earlier. I also mentioned Vietnam earlier. And this one is also quite surprising because she has been gaining momentum recently. I am talking about Miss Puerto Rico. Now, Miss Puerto Rico for me would probably do well in Q&A, but unfortunately now that we have the prelims for swimsuit as well as evening gown, she didn't quite make my personal list. And then yeah, I mentioned Vietnam as well. Now, if I had it my way, if there is a spot that I could give, I would love for Miss Singapore to make it this time because I think Singapore is really pushing the envelope. She is enjoying the ride. She isn't very serious. I like how she's super chic. She's super current. I like that she is unapologetic. I like also that, you know, she's really brave. She cut her hair. You know, she is my vision of a modern Singaporean woman, and her evening gown look was just something super fresh. Maybe it's not for everyone, but it was graphic, it was architectural, and it had a really interesting punchy color, which was magenta. So here, guys, are my list for both evening gown as well as swimsuit. So the next part will be my review on our very own Rabiya Mateo.